Quadfather Podcast, WATP.
I want to start off with the first clip that you sent over to me.
Okay.
Do you have any setup for this you want to go through?
What do you think Quadfather is asking me here?
All right. What do you think Quadfather is asking?
Ooh, the game came early.
Mr.
Survey says.
It cuts so close to like all that stuff. It's hard to talk about subjects like that, and it's definitely hard to make jokes about it. I love throwing that stuff at the Shuli network just because it's whatever. There's a good reason to it. Whatever.
What's the good reason?
Not that we would. Just to make it a little bit more lighthearted, the fact that happened here in the Dabbleverse and whatever.
You just said you hate hearing it, and you hate it coming up, and you hate it even being mentioned. So why would you bring it up in any context?
Yes. Well, I mean, in reality, the only situation we've had like that is on the Shuli network. So throwing it at him when I do think, I'll just flat out ask you, do you think that Shuli knew more than he's letting on now? I know you work with him a lot, so it's probably a shitty question, but I'm going to throw it at you.
So I just pause it real quick. I'm going to let that answer play out. And basically what happened was they did this segue from the Dan Snyder Nickelodeon stuff right into ESO Doe talk. And you could tell Quadfather's just like, I hate this whole subject. It's gross. I don't want to give it any air. But then he's just like, but I do love trash and Shuli for this. So then the question goes over to Adam.
We do the hard-hitting questions over here, BYB, as you probably don't know. But yeah, what do you think? Do you think Shuli comes off genuine when he tells about not knowing anything about the ISO situation, believing what ISO told him about the situation when he was arrested the day after DabbleCon?
I don't think he knew about anything in advance. And I think he came forward with information as soon as he had it. I don't think you can say, as someone who's worked with monsters, you can say that anyone can, I knew in advance. I could tell from the look at him. Sometimes you do, right? Sometimes you get an eerie feeling from a stranger. Sometimes dogs know. And other times it's the exact opposite. And no one gets to say that it's going to be one way. And if it happened in my world, I would come out with it as soon as possible, get rid of the person, acknowledge it, own it, and then try and move on from it. And that's, to an extent, what Shuli did. I didn't like when it kept coming up. I didn't like it being used as a weapon. I didn't like bad jokes about it. I don't mind good jokes about it, but who's the arbiter of that, right? Yeah. For sure. Outside of that, what is he supposed to do? Like, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah, and mainly it was just the timing of everything after the...
There are plenty of reasons that are real and genuine to not like Shuli Agar. It doesn't have to be that. And if you don't like hearing that and bringing it up, then I wouldn't.
No, I mean, I always...
Well said, yes.
Like to see if I can get to... I asked Bob Levy the same questions.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why you
I didn't
brought
know
it up.
that. Okay.
What am I going to ask Adam? Well, I got to ask him the same stuff I asked Bob, obviously, even though I don't want to even approach this subject. You were on for a long time with these fellas.
Yeah. That's probably my own issue I have going on. That's I'm working through some things.
What was your takeaway from this? What did you learn?
I like the Dabbleverse, and I like the idea of a new show covering the Dabbleverse. You know, I don't know if this is it. It feels like a political show that has a party line and has no idea that any other people might not be completely writing off groups of people or people as a whole. Sometimes it's just issue by issue, and it's interesting to see him try and scramble around and come up with reasons why he doesn't like people, because when he's not allowed to just say, I just don't like them or I don't like this, when it comes down to an issue, there's like nothing there outside of like, well, the timing and the tone and the delivery. Okay, Well, he it says many times throughout the show that he didn't have the best delivery here or he didn't have the best timing here, and that's, quickly forgivable. But in other people, I guess it's not.
These are people who read subreddits too much.
I'm probably one of those people too.
Okay.
I think I fall under that category.
Okay, fair enough. But you can kind of tell from they're coming at it with like, well, everyone knows like Shuli knew and he was a real scumbag. You're like, why would that be the case?
Yeah.
Why would you even think that? It'd be a crazy thing for Shuli to do, to try to cover that up, knowing it was going to come out. Especially with all of the people who are always looking into everything that he's up to. We have these PIs who are trying to dig into everything that's going on. I think want to be the first one to get it out there and get out in front of it. So let's lighten up the conversation here. This is where you're telling a story about Patrice O'Neal. I didn't realize you guys had a relationship, you and Patrice.
Yeah, we worked together on a Fox show about a jury, and we were kind of paired as a team. I was the jury foreman, and he was the bailiff.
That's amazing.
It was amazing.
So this is a conversation. I guess Patrice used to go down to Brazil to a brothel
He did every year. He would live there for a couple months.
Okay. And maybe our boy Adam could have made the trip with him.
If we got one more season, because he would always ask me to go with him to this brothel in Brazil that he would like live at for 3 months of the year, and the women would send him videos on his little phone, and before an iPhone, they would just send him videos, and he'd pick it up, and it'd be them, moaning to him in Spanish, and he'd let us all hear it, and he kept asking me to go. I gotta go. I said, I didn't have the money at the time, even though I was on this gig, but I was like, if we get a season 2, I can afford it. I'll go with you to Brazil. And then we never got a season 2, and I never got to go to the brothel with Patrice, and I always regretted it.
Well, that makes me want to ask you a bunch of questions, but I guess I won't probably go there specifically. That's you would go there.
He's getting real uncomfortable all of a sudden. He's like, oh, you're going to go to a brothel with Patrice.
Starting to think that's his interview style.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions that I will not ask you based on that. This is the no follow-up questions show. But actually, the reason why he's squirming here is because he's like, you would travel with a black man? No, I'm just kidding. That's not what it was. He's going to imply something here and then immediately get off that subject.
Typically, that's you would go there just to hang out, or what's I don't know. That kind of boggles my mind to think of you going down to hang out in a Brazil brothel. Honestly,
why is that?
I love that question.
Actually, Adam's asking the hard-hitting questions here.
What do you mean by that? Yeah. Why would you want to go to a place where there's like hot chicks who will have sex for money? Like, what would be the purpose that you would do something like that? I don't know, Quad. Why do you think I'd want to do something like that? So I think he's implying that you're gay.
What?
I think so. But watch as he gets real flustered by your follow-up question here.
It's like a high-class 5-star resort in Brazil. I'm just trying to picture what this looks like.
I have
so that's to say, like, I don't know, maybe it'd be expensive. I don't know.
So now you're a poor gay.
That was hilarious.
He holds such, intense party lines. I don't understand why he's so flustered. Why can't he just ask me? He's actually going like, he's like pulling up his collar like it's getting hotter in there. What's the big deal? Just ask me. What?
Yeah.
He's acting like it's the 50s and we have to speak in code. Like,
you're not one of them? Are you sure about that? Okay. If you say so. All right. So this is a clip that you sent me a while after this that kind of goes along with this clip. All right. Anything you want to do to set this one up?
No, I think it speaks for itself.
All right.
No, don't do it.
What do you think that is if it's not wine? What is that?
A butthole? I don't fucking know, man. Does he wear
He's a lot of ass.
I get it.
just tons of ass?
It's funny.
Is that the great Jody B has joined the show at this point? Is that what we're seeing on here?
Correct. He jumped on in and then jumped out real fast.
Okay, and they're showing Opie, and of course the discussion around Opie is what is going on with Opie's mouth.
No, man. Does he wear
He's a lot of ass.
I get it.
just tons of ass?
It's funny because we've on WATP reviewed a lot of gay shows, trans shows, and no one talks about gay sex more than BYB.
He's special.
No, it's true though.
Yeah.
We talk about all the taboo subjects here at BYB.
Yeah, but that one a lot. Listen to your own intro of the show. Go back and listen to it. There's no other. It's just that.
Oh no!
Go around the horn.
I have been accused of this before in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, you seem to be thinking about it a lot, about yourself, about others. It seems to be on your mind.
A lot of gay sex talk coming up, but they couldn't just come out and ask you a straightforward question on that. Why is that?
No, I want to know. He seems very he seems to have an emotional tie to it. Yeah, and in the intro of his show, I'm flattered and a little curious. I'm a lot of things. They went on this whole rant at the beginning of the show about butts and dicks and then moved into their show, and he's like, we talk about lots of sexual stuff. No, you don't. You don't talk about women at all. It never comes up. Only when you're like, why would you want to go to a brothel to do what there? What would you even do?
What's
is
it
there
like?
good restaurants? Yeah.
I'll never
and
forget.
he does tell a story about his father taking him to the Mustang Ranch to sit in the parking lot and look at the sign for a little bit and then drive away. I asked him if he thought it had any impact on him, and he said, nope.
Okay, that's funny. I'll never forget when he was on Stuttering John show. He's a regular on there. And he came on and said that there was sorry, John, I couldn't be here earlier. There was a woman over at my house. And John's like, oh, what's going on with that? Trying to be like, oh, it's a sexy time. He's like, no, she's the woman that cleans my asshole out and gives me a shower, bathes me. I have to have routine maintenance.
He's like,
it's like,
keep talking.
Cleaned your asshole out.
So she's into anal.
Yeah, right.
That was my next question.
All right. This next clip, they're talking about the doxing incident. Again, this is someone who's on Reddit a lot who would talk about this. It's a bigger deal to everyone but the person who I doxed, who I've been in communication with. Didn't seem as concerned about it, but
they're defending his honor, and they hit me 3 different times. Like, they would move on to a subject and they'd go back to this. 3 different times I had to, get into the minutia of this until he had no facts left and was just running on feeling.
Yeah, I'm sorry I put you through this, Adam. I feel
it's not your fault.
I feel responsible for this.
Happy to be an ambassador.
On this one, that Carl was kind of douchey about the whole situation. Whatever. He was just probably having fun with it, or it didn't seem like he was having fun with it.
Jesus, make up your mind, Quad. Pick a lane.
I guess that's not really a question, but it is kind of a question, Adam. What do you see the dichotomy, though? Like how Carl's trying to spin it like it was not that way, but it did seem to come off that way to me when we watched it.
Well, no, I mean, as we said before, I think he thought he did come in hot and unnecessarily hot. And I think the person was talking about the interface of the website, and I think he thought they were talking about the content. And I could see somebody being like, really? You're a fan of the Dabbleverse and Stuttering John, and you heard those tapes and you're not satisfied? Like, that's strange. I don't know what you were looking for, because it was everything you could ever want and definitely worth the money. But the first day was rough with the dealing with that website.
Right.
I experienced it. Other people experienced it. And when I said to Carl, hey, I think he's not talking about the Kate tapes. I think he's talking, and that you guys are together. I think he's talking about just the difficulty with the website. He said, oh, okay. Yeah, you might be right. And then I backed off a little bit.
And that happened after the show, or did that happen during
it's in the beginning of the show when this stuff came up. Because I missed the doxing, but I caught what the guy was saying. And I was like, oh, if the guy had issues on the first day, that's fair. And
I like that Quad's just like, that's weird. In that thread I was reading on that subreddit, no one brought that part up at all. And they were just really upset about Carl spelling a name on the internet.
Yeah, and he talks about people towing a party line, and he's the one who aired the parts of the clip that didn't have that in it. He just took it out. So either didn't see it or didn't want to. I said that to him, and he wasn't like, go fuck yourself, you're blocked. He said, oh, yeah, you might be right. I hope you are. Because he was, I think, hurt by that. And then when he heard there was a way out, he wasn't doubling down on the bad thing. He was glad there was an alternative to what's happening here, which it might be. I don't know. He'll have to speak up. But it's never necessary to say anybody's name.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that is the main point of all of this stuff is never say the dude's name, even if they're the way he went about it was wrong. And Carl does explain that in this clip that, he should have just sent me a private email like everybody else did. But this guy went about it the different way. He tried to have his credit card deny the charges so whatever. He went about it in the incorrect way, I guess, unless...
Well, like you said, coming in hot with an opinion, which it's okay to change as facts develop. I don't know. That's not a negative. I don't think that's a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength.
Fair enough.
I'm talking about you, Quad. Do you understand? I'm talking about you. You got right to that point. You're like, I guess, okay, he should apologize, which he did, and take responsibility, which he did, but, and he doesn't know what to do. He's like stuck in this moment. He's like, what does a person do once they get there? They say, all right, and I'll change my mind and move on. That's it. You can do it. I believe in you.
It's not that difficult. Definitely a learning experience for me, but apparently, no, I'm a pariah. But thank you for having my back. You don't ever have to defend me in anything that I do.
Oh, I still threw you under the bus, but I was happy to pick up the pieces.
You did a little bit. Okay, there's a few clips you sent me. I'm not going to play all of them, but I do want to discuss them, things that happened on the show. One of them that I thought was very interesting, but it takes a while to play out, is there's a question, a chatter asks a question about Carl's obsession with normalizing Missy B's Twitter.
Right.
And so they're like, Adam, what do you think about that? Carl is platforming Missy B, who writes all this crazy stuff that's anti-Semitic on Twitter. And so you were saying like, well, does Carl like endorse those views or do they discuss her Twitter? And they're like, no, not that I've ever heard. And you had a brilliant point at the end of that because Derek, Quadfather, is a Proud Boy, or at least is a fan of the Proud Boys. She's like, well, does me being on this show mean that I'm a Proud Boy? Like, how does that, just being on someone's show does not mean that you agree with everything that they think and everything that they write. That'd be a crazy way to live your life.
And it was nice when I said that to see every head that was in that little Zoom go just wilt at the same time. Like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then he goes on after that to talk about how when he was on with Stuttering John, back when he was the co-host of the Stuttering John show, we all remember that era of John, of course, he was sending coded messages to Missy B, like saying certain things that I guess Missy B would understand, but John wouldn't. And do you want to talk about that back and forth you had with him at all?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. When Missy B comes up, he starts to ramble a little bit and say a lot of things. There's apparently a lot of history between them. He had the same reaction when my sexuality came up. He just started hemming and hawing and talking about, well, her Twitter is back, because I follow it, and if you follow her, then you'll see that she's back, because it's only the people that follow her that are just listening to him, talk about your obsession with Missy B. He seems to have a lot of feelings about it and wants me to answer to anything she's ever done. And I told him I was a fan of the things she said on Point Dabble Point, so I followed her and everyone on that episode. And like 2 weeks later, she had posted something on X, and I remember seeing it and being like, oh, not for me. Unfollow that.
Right.
And
yeah.
It wasn't even a question. It was like, yep, done. That's absolutely. And I will still talk. I think I've already done shows with her since then. Like, I respect her opinion on these matters that we agree on. And Quad, you and I agree on these matters too when it comes to Stuttering John. It just changes when it gets to certain people.
So then he tries to ambush you because you have made some comments about his show, BYB. So he thinks he's got a gotcha moment here. But you do a good job of getting out in front of it. I'm going to let this play out here.
But you did say you watched every week, and I forget exactly how you put it, but it wasn't very nice. You said,
"Oh no, I probably said I tune in every week and I want it to be good, but it feels very slow and unfocused."
And yeah, you say you're always waiting for it to be better, and it never is. That's I think exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's similar with Bob Levy. I love Bob Levy too, and I tune in and I'm like, when is this show going to start? It's been 45 minutes. What the fuck is happening? But I'll write him, when is the show going to start? And he always has a positive reaction, so I appreciate that. He's not like, go fuck yourself, you're blocked.
Fair criticism. And
All right.
I love that. Just like, by the way, you said some shit about my show. Yeah, it's because you never get to anything, and you just don't have anything. You just ramble. He's like, yeah, I guess that's true.
All right, got us there. Moving on.
Fair enough. That was very funny.
Quadfather says everything in a slow and unfocused way.
Right. That's what the show is. I didn't see the other co-hosts chiming in very much. It seemed like it was just you and Quad for the most part having these conversations.
At what point, King Dungelberg, I don't know, he said something like, were you on Buffy the Vampire Slayer? And I said, yeah. And he said,
I have
that's
that.
awesome.
I have that.
That's cool.
Do you want to play that real quick?
I mean, it's just what I just said.
Yeah, but it's still
That was
kind
a
of
hard-hitting interview.
it's still kind of fun though. Let's watch that.
That to me.
Well, and plus, hey, man, your time on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that's pretty huge, ain't it?
That was fun, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I was also in the Beatles.
Remember you were on television? Yeah. That's cool. Yeah,
That's cool.
that's pretty cool.
Good talk.
Cool, man.
I think I agree with that.
They're all nice fellas. They're all,
Yeah.
give the appearance of open-mindedness. Quad will listen to anything, and he seems open to hearing it and positive to receive it. There just seems to be a disconnect between actually like internalizing it and moving on.
Well, this next one, he describes the type of show that we put on, and you give a little bit of pushback here.
And, I do understand the way the WATP does it. It's all very scripted. It's very produced, highly scripted. And they boom, 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 boom. If you get off script at all with Carl on his show, I can see he does not like that.
What is the script? What's the script?
Good
no,
question.
just the way they go through whatever they produce for the show. It's very like on time, go, 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 go.
Sure,
They
it moves
do
along.
a lot into their shows.
But there's no script.
argue that.
I can tell you there's no script. There's barely any there's no talking beforehand.
Correct.
There's like just look at clips and then show them. There's no party line or script that I'm aware of.
Okay. So
All right. But do you see what he did there? He goes, well, you guys, he says it 3 times. You guys are scripted. Well, you read from a script. Carl doesn't like when you deviate from the script.
Yep.
I say, there is no script.
Right.
And he's like, it's because you guys are on time. Oh, is that the issue? I thought it was a scripted show. Now it's because we're punctual? What is the issue? And why are you so quick to just jump on to the next if these are your issues? You know, that doesn't work in politics.
Right, yeah, there'd be a follow-up question. Like, no, we're not moving on yet. Hold on a second. You said that the show was scripted, and it's definitely not.
Yeah.
But that is a weird one.
Adam, can you just say something bad about Carl, please?
That's right. 3 times. You can't get enough of it. If I do, it won't
Can
end.
we just pull up something from the Hackverse subreddit we can all agree on? Come on,
Let's get the cow bikini pickup.
Give me something. Cow bikini pick. Don't you think Carl's a little just do it, though? Come on, Adam. Let's be honest. From
Well, he
one
didn't
just
ask
do
me
it,
that.
From one just do it to another.
Yeah. 2 guys like us.
So then Quad presents some evidence that Shuli and I stole BYB's programming format because they're the weekly Dabbleverse review show. And we talked about on Point Dabble Point on Monday that Point Dabble Point's kind of transitioning into a Dabbleverse weekly roundup where we get into Kevin Brennan and Opie and Steel Toe and John's doing stuff. You know, he's got some live shows coming up and things like that. So there'll be John's stuff as well, but it's all Dabbleverse. Really.
Incompetent jerks.
Right. Yeah.
But
know
I'm
the
glad
type.
you're doing that because I have a hard time just talking about one. When we talk about one, it's all related. They're so similar.
Right.
And I would censor myself. I like that it's now all of the topics.
I do too, because I don't focus on Kevin Brennan as much. We will today. But Shuli does the Auntie Karen show, which is great. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't focus on Opie, but of course we do over here. And so it's fun to like bring us together and talk about Opie and Kevin and whoever else we're talking about at that time. And so, this is the discussion about that.
I do stuff. So first question up. Point Dabble Point. Regardless, it was a Stuttering John show. How do you see the Shuli network, Point Dabble Point, Stuttering John, by leaving the Dabbleverse, has really affected some of these channels? Do you have some thoughts that you could expound upon us about that?
Specifically in terms of
how like Stuttering John, he said he was going to put the Shuli network out of business. I don't know. I do know their numbers are down a little bit since they're doing less and less Stuttering John. So now that the Shuli network seems like they're going to be moving into all things Dabbleverse or other, and it has seemed to affect their income and their views. What do you think about Stuttering John's absence and its effect on the Dabbleverse?
I don't think his exit will mean there's less content to cover or less of a desire to, be involved in his world the same way I'm just as invested in Eric the Midget this many years after he's gone. But I'm all about covering all of the stuff from the Dabbleverse on all of the shows, because when we talk about Opie, I'm the one who gets criticized for constantly bringing things back to John or to Chad, because there's just so many similarities, and I become very fascinated with those similarities. So I'm all about that, and seeing as how, just as a rule, you'll take the opposite point of view of whatever Shuli or Carl have to say. There's definitely room for two shows because they're going to have opposing views to begin with, if that's the nature of it. Do you know what I mean?
So what you're saying here is like, no, it's actually good that they're going to do a Dabbleverse show. You do your Dabbleverse show. You're not going to agree on what they're saying, so people can get different perspectives. There's room for everyone in this Dabbleverse, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't trying to say like, oh, I invented the weekly dabbles, whatever's like, and people are stealing my ideas. I'm just seeing that people are starting to get away from like singular content, and they're starting to move into like.
Haven't we been doing this the entire time? Is that what the show has been the entire time? As we do, we cover a lot of different topics and a lot of different people on the show.
And he just said that you guys are stealing his idea. And I'm not saying
I'm not saying
stealing my idea.
The idea.
Okay, fine. Then what are you saying?
One more clip that we have on here from and you were on there for hours, but this is fun. I appreciate you putting in the time, and I appreciate you reporting back to us on how things went. Because honestly, I have no problem with Quadfather. I thought we were going to be hanging out at Hackamania, but I think I heard that Quad can't make it anymore.
No.
Oh, really?
I think that's what I heard. I think Mason and Portland's not coming too.
Did you read that in the subreddit?
I probably read it in the subreddit. Never mind. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
But anyway, hopefully he's there. I want to hang out with Quadfather. No issues there. But for some reason, he doesn't believe the truth about the Stevie Tomatoes incident, which is crazy to me. I can't believe there's people who would take John's ridiculous side that when he called into Kevin Brennan and Kevin Brennan offered zero pushback and just went, oh, wow, really? None of it made any sense. None of the timing lined up. None of the scenarios.
Can you bring me back to his argument? So John is saying he went out, scanned the parking lot, made sure everyone was cowering in their cars, and that's when he safely left. Right? Is that what he's saying?
He said, not only were me and Shuli hiding in our cars, but Shuli called the owner, and the owner was like,
oh, right. I forgot about that.
You better not come in.
Yeah.
You bet. I mean, if you want to come in, don't go outside where John is. Just go in and go straight to the back.
Okay.
Because Shuli was scared about it. Like, oh, shit, is John still there? Something like that. It was some crazy story like that he told. But I appreciate...
And Quad buys it.
I appreciate Adam trying to talk some sense into the guy here.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said, but I don't know, whatever. He left like right before. Whatever. I have questions about all that. I do like your point about, I had never really considered what Rochi said about the parking lot being so damn small. That, yeah, if he was out there in his car, then obviously Stuttering John would have seen Shuli hiding in his car if that were the case. So fair points. I'm not sure exactly how that worked.
Imagine we get into a disagreement here on this show, and we're just like, fuck it, and I get off, and we're pissed, and now we're enemies. And it turns out you, Quad, are coming to my local pub down the block where I can walk to. And you say you're going to be there at 8 o'clock. And I'm like, I've been waiting all this time to show Quad. I'm going to show up till 15 minutes before he's about to be there, and then I'm going to leave.
Yeah, there's a lot of bluster in this world. It is bullshit. Yeah,
that's it. That's what happened. It's the only thing that happened. If it would have
taken till 15 after the hour, I guess you make a good point. Why wouldn't you still be there a half hour later?
For the honor of his children and his family.
Yes.
Can't be there 15 minutes later.
My family. You doxed everybody. Yeah, for sure, man. Okay, yeah, that is a very good point, actually. I had never really thought of it like that. But
I mean, I'm still going to vote for him, but you make a lot of good points. Yeah.
Quad's got some bias, it seems like, that's clouding his interpretation of how things are going down.
But he comes around.
He does.
Pretty much with every question.
I like that it's, and I think Adam sent me know, it's just like, fair enough means I won that argument. It was just like, all right, fair enough. Moving on.
Which is more than you can expect from anyone else in the Dabbleverse. So sure. I appreciate all of their willingness to listen and play around.
Yeah, totally.
Not enough of that.
And I appreciate you for going on their show and representing WATP. That was very cool. Any final thoughts on that? You ready to move on?
Just that these, because it's interesting, we talk about projection, and he just is... His agenda was to show that I am towing a party line that is dictated to me by big WATP and you guys, and it's being, and that's what I do, and I learn my opinions from that. And
Could you imagine if I gave you notes every time? I'm like, well, you disagreed with me about the drool coming out of John's mouth. Let's not do that again.
That's the script.
It's wild, and it becomes very clear that that's not what happens here, and I'm willing to own any opinion that I've made and back it up or even change my mind. And he toes a party line. He says, working with John, I learned to hate Carl and Shuli, and that was something we could connect over. So that's just what I do. And even when it goes against facts or friendship or what I see right in front of me. Yeah, or taste or anything. And we have spent a long time where I ask him why he did this with John. And you could tell, just like many of the people we talk about, he still doesn't know, and he hasn't processed it.
He's still not sure what his end game was going to be. You know, it's interesting. Little Lemmy, I don't know if she's still on the show anymore, but Little Lemmy used to be on this show. She did the same thing. She just decided to just stop, dislike me. And it happened on X, where she pulled a clip, or she responded to a clip of Andy making a false statement about Chad's comedy show in Florida.
Sure.
And if you watch the show or you listen to the show, I immediately correct Andy on it. I go, actually, no, that's not what it was. It was this. And Little Emmy's like, oh, how does WTP let Andy say something that's such a lie? And I go, you mean the thing I corrected him on immediately? She's like, yeah, but there's other things too. You're like, oh, right. So you just don't like me. You just don't want to be mad at me. It doesn't matter what the actual facts are or substance.
No, you doxed someone.
Right.
And then it was, all right, you gave Merchant Complaints name, even though I'm out here with my name. And then it was, okay, I just didn't like the use of the word bitch boy because he's very sensitive about language. I hate Shuli because of the whole ESO thing. It was just the tone and the timing. Okay, that's reason enough.
Well, since you brought up the doxing thing, I didn't want to say this because I didn't know if he wanted this out there or not, but Rick from New York is the guy that I was talking about.
He does it again. He doubles down. So look at that.
He just sent me $5, Rick from New York, and says, I am easily the least important person that's ever been doxed in the Dabbleverse. Guess this is my 15 minutes. So for all the people who are clutching their pearls.
We know your name. We know your state.
He looks just like Imus. I could pick him out of a lineup.
And Quad, if it was so horrible that Carl kept releasing his name, why did you play 4 clips that say his name and personally say his name like 6 other times? Why wouldn't you just protect it if that's doxing someone?
There was a local weatherman here in Rochester, this is maybe 7 or 8 years ago, maybe longer, who was trying to say Martin Luther King Park, because we have a park named after Martin Luther King. And he said Martin Luther and then K-O-O-N.
Oh, right.
And because it's like the June, Martin Luther King Jr.
The what?
But if you say K and then you go to June immediately, it could screw things up. And it was a midday newscast that he corrected himself immediately. And the mayor came out and she said, he did this on purpose because he's a racist. And they played this on the news and in social media everywhere. It's all I heard was this guy making a quick flub. No one would have heard it. The ratings are like 38 people on a Wednesday at 4 o'clock when he's doing his newscast. And instead, it was pounded into everybody's ears. So if it really is such a horrible thing where you have this crazy racist who's trying to push this agenda on the local news during its weather forecast, it's like, well, that's not a good way to deal with it.
Yeah.
Making sure that everyone hears it a bunch of times. But
that's the John school of you said this horrible thing about my kids that I'm going to accept money to retweet.
That's how you know it's disingenuous.
And put on television.
Yeah.
Who are these podcasts?